Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Joe Kuzma and Brian E. Roach.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast. My name is Joe Kuzma, and I want to wish a happy Football Friday to all of our listeners and also my colleague, my cohort, my companion, my partner in crime. There's some alliteration going on there. Mr. Brian E. Roach. Brian, what do you think about the alliteration?
I love alliteration because I'm the host that doesn't like toast. And I brought that back, but now I'm letting it go again. So it's all gone. I'm not going to ever say it again.
No, you had a legitimate reason, though, to kind of bring that back.
I did.
You did. So as long as it fits within the context. Otherwise, I guess it sounds cheesy and corny, and the few people who actually pay attention to us will revolt, and then we'll have no one pay attention to us. So
that will be sad.
I know. Hey, man, it feels good to break out the black and gold clothing. All week, man. I've been doing it. Yeah, me here too. Yeah, I'm going the little vintage route. Too bad nobody can see that. They're just listening to us. But hey, like I said, it's Football Friday, and we actually have stuff to look forward to. First, we had a game last night. You know, the very kind of weird. I guess I didn't even really think there was 15,000 people at Arrowhead. And there's not going to be zero at a lot of these places. Maybe they'll be filtering in the crowd. They've talked about filtering in crowd noise not only there, but maybe even on TV. I really wish I knew how loud or what. That place should have been raucous. It's actually kind of a shame they win a Super Bowl for the first time in like 50 years. And this is their big, Thursday game. The Super Bowl champion gets to play, and they get no celebration or anything. And I wouldn't shed a tear if that was like the Ravens or the Cowboys or somebody like that. But I feel bad because I have no ill will towards the Chiefs or Andy Reid with his glasses on and then also his face shield. I don't know how the guy could have seen anything. Somebody they posted a meme. It looked like one of those things like where your windshield's all fogged up and or you're in a foggy area and you can't see anything. Kind of like Sleepy Hollow or not Sleepy Hollow, Smoky Hollow. Sleepy Hollow was a bed store in my old town. It's what it looked like in the meme. I thought it was kind of funny, and we'll see how many of these coaches. It's he usually has like the Waffle House menu he holds up over his face, and it's a change for them too. It's a change for us for fans. But I thought Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth actually hit the nail on the head when they said. The way the crowd was, like the third quarter, they said, this is usually the way it looks when it's like 50 to something and the home team's losing and everybody's hitting the road early to go home to get ready for work.
In other words, every
morning.
Bengals game, right? Every Bengals game, the Escaloozer's all gone.
As much as I like to make fun of the Bengals, that is the honest to God's truth. Last year when the Steelers weren't doing so hot and the Bengals were doing even worse, that was in November. Ryan Lippert came with me because he came up from Kentucky. He's one of our contributors here who always does the scouting reports over on the website, so look for that over the weekend as well. But me and Ryan were kind of like, the tailgating was hot, though. The tailgating was packed, but people weren't spending the money to go in the stadium. The stadium was cavernous, and that place is already a dismal gray block of concrete. It is one of the stadiums with the least amount of personality of anything in the old stadium in Canton they used to play the Hall of Fame games in that they've, tore down half of it and then built the other half of it. Now it's all state of the art. The old one with the bricks crumbling, you could just take a souvenir home with you if you want, had more charm than the Bengals stadium. And honest to God, it was like, if it was half full and then half of that or more, was at least Steelers fans that were there. I mean, I sat like 10 rows up practically on the 50 for face value, which is unheard of in any NFL town for any NFL game. I mean, it was that bad. So no fans will be here in New York. We're looking ahead to the Steelers, of course. And, that was kind of maybe a sneak preview of what's going on this upcoming Monday. They have it listed at 7:10 p.m. I don't know if that includes the kickoff festivities and everything. I thought it was like 7:20, but that's okay. The 82,500 capacity MetLife Stadium will be 100% empty, devoid of only, the staff for each of the teams, the organization, and Press, you know what I mean? And that is kind of depressing. And we hadn't talked about this too far into the future yet, but the Steelers were going to play the Texans, and that was like the whole Watt family reunion. And now, Papa Watt, Mama Watt can't even come and watch all the kids at one game. So it's a bizarre new world. We'll see what happens. We'll see if anybody tests positive out of this Thursday night game, if anything comes from that, and just got to go forward with it. But I will say one thing, no Booger McFarland on this ESPN Monday Night Football, first of a part of a doubleheader. So, but you get Kirk Herbstreit, which I think is a little awkward because he's usually just a college guy, It was okay for the draft, Brian. I didn't have a problem with it because those guys, they watch all of these players in college. In fact, I think I enjoyed seeing like the college game day crew cover the NFL draft better than I did some of the, Mel Kipers and guys like that. So, but anyways, What are we expecting Monday? I mean, yesterday, the Chiefs looked pretty sharp. The Texans looked sharp for maybe a drive or two and then fell apart offensively and defensively. And then we talked about how September is usually an extension of the preseason. Well, if you had no preseason, we could be going out into November with some of this sloppy football. The Steelers traditionally start slow. Ben Roethlisberger said he's going to be shaking like a leaf. And, there's going to be some jitters. There's not going to be any away crowd, though. So what do we expect to see in this game? I mean, are the Steelers going to come out firing? Or I think the defense will be good. I think the offense is still going to be shaky, just like it was last year.
Yeah, I think you can make a good estimate on what you're going to see by the fact that Zach Banner was named the starting right tackle. Because while Ola and Zach both had problems with TJ Watt, all reports are that Zach Banner's run blocking was better. And for him to get the nod, that can tell you that they're going to plan on running the football. And the reason they're going to plan on running the football as much as they possibly can, if it works, is because notoriously, Ben Roethlisberger doesn't start fast. And when you complicate that with the jitters and whatever else is going on, even though I can't even imagine what it's going to feel like for these guys to play in an empty stadium. It's gotta feel very odd for them. When they're used to what they're generally used to. But I think you're going to see the Steelers come out and be a very conservative offense initially. And I will tell you that one of the nice things I heard when I talked to Jim Wexell the other day was that James Conner looks amazing, according to Wex. Like, just absolutely amazing. Very studly. And looks like he is absolutely a man amongst boys in comparison to the rest of the running back room. So if he's ready to go and he's ready to bounce back into that Pro Bowl type running back that he was a couple years ago, hey, maybe that's going to be beneficial. I think the offense will be productive, but I think it will be conservative, and hopefully it won't need to stretch itself too much. I think they give Ben a couple easy throws, some screens, something that he can complete to settle his nerves, and then we'll see how it goes from there. I'm right with you on the defense. I think the defense is going to start right where they left off, if not ahead of where they left off. And what I'm going to look at and what I am excited to see is Bud Dupree and TJ Watt just teeing off on that Giants defense or offensive line. I had a dream, and not to steal MLK's thunder with the dream speech, but I had a dream the other night.
Trademark.
That when they woke up, when the game was all said and done, they sacked Daniel Jones 15 times. And because every time he went back to throw, there was no time, and it was either TJ or Bud just in his lap. If the thing is that not that they're going to sack him 15 times, but that kind of pressure could exist if the Steelers can get a lead and force the Giants to be one-dimensional. Because I don't think they're going to be able to handle the Steelers' defense. I just don't.
No, there's a little bit to unpackage there. I'm not sure. First of all, Connor Connor, I'm all aboard on him. I just worry about giving him too much of the workload, but I want to see the backs get that, 20 touches, 25 touches? Where are we at with that? Is that 25? Yep. It's 25, isn't it?
25.
It's 25. If they get in between 20 and 25, it's middling. Anything less than 20 is just absolutely miserable. But 25 seems to be the golden rule for the Steelers to win. Being on the road, I mean, this process is different too. They got to worry about where do they go eat, what they're permitted to do. This isn't your usual anything. Hotel, probably has guys in hazmat suits steaming things down, and so this is a little different for them just at the start. Even they'll have their charter flight or whatever. I'm sure that won't be too much different. So they don't have to deal with the airport the same way you or I would, the general public. But everything else is kind of, bizarre. And they've been in Zoom meetings for different things where they don't even sit in the same rooms. Juju came out and said that right here on this show not too long ago. So yeah. I do trust what Jim Wexell says about a lot of these guys. And Deontay Johnson, or as I saw him on Facebook, who's going to score the first Steelers touchdown? Hey, that's a good question, by the way, but it won't be Devontae Johnson.
No.
Deontay did not practice. It looks like David DeCastro, there's something going on there that's not good, and we discussed that as being, concerning, to say the least. Mm-hmm. So, by the way, I'll go back to who scores the first touchdown. It'll be Connor. I think so.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay. I just think the Steelers, they're going to attempt to run the ball some, not only to get that part of the game going, but I don't think you want Ben throwing the ball 45 times in his first game back either. And who knows what that looks like if they even get the ball enough for him to be able to throw it 45 times. You assume about 60 plays. That's not where you want to be with a 45-15 share. So anyway, yeah, Deontay Johnson showed up on the injury report also. And there was a little tip of the cap towards we may see Chase Claypool. There was a lot of things you don't hear about a rookie. I don't have them all in front of me quote-wise, but there was a lot of praise, and there was a lot of suggestion that he's going to be involved early and often, and as early as this upcoming Monday. Whether that means 10 snaps, whether that means 30 snaps, I don't know. I guess it depends on if he goes out there and runs a route wrong or drops a pass or something of that nature that we see guys do and Ben get on their case, which rightfully so he will. We saw that last year against New England, Dante Moncrief, but he wasn't the only one. Who else dropped passes? Like Vance McDonald dropped the pass, James Conner dropped the pass or two, Juju had to drop. Yep. I mean, everybody was just sloppy, and I don't know if that had to deal with losing Daryl Drake, Coach Daryl Drake as your wide receivers, your positions coach, and it changed to Ray Sherman, or having this high sense of drama or whatever, playing at New England, of course, to start another primetime game. I don't think they feel the same sense of pressure against New York, but in the same aspect, we've always talked about whether this team looks down on opponents, perhaps.
Right.
And, slow starts to seasons, extension of preseason, your stars not playing in these preseason games. Well, all they've been doing is practice. They haven't played any real competition. The Giants are going to be just as sloppy, I would think, too. You get a second-year quarterback with, what's his nuts? Jason Garrett, offensive coordinator. Yeah. Joe Judge, new coach. I'm hearing we heard a lot of rumblings, especially New York media will rip anyone in a heartbeat in that New York minute. They don't. We've heard that the team does not really care for Joe Judge. So we'll see how all of this operates, because all they really had, this isn't like a bunch of returning veterans with Mike Tomlin and an established foundation for the entire team. You got something entirely new here that brand new. They're trying something new again. This could have easily been the Steelers, by the way, if everybody had gotten their way back in like 2012, 2013 and just fired everybody like you wanted to. They might be on their second or third head coach by now too, if they didn't get it right or stick to a guy. So I see a lot of parallels with the Giants. Brian, let me see here. Talking about, just sloppiness here. It's hard. I don't like going back necessarily to last year's stats. I mean, you had Daniel Jones wasn't absolutely terrible. He threw for like 3,000 yards, had 24 TDs, 12 picks, 87.7 quarterback rating. But, I have some respect for him. I have some respect for Saquon Barkley. But outside of that on the offense, I don't really see Evan Ingram being the big threat. I know a lot of fantasy people were, blowing smoke up his behind, and in that regard, I think the Steelers got that covered on defense, honestly. They do get Sterling Shepard back. Golden Tate, that's going to be interesting whether or not he ends up playing. I know he had been banged up through camp. I didn't see I was trying to pull up an injury report and see what's going on right now with the Giants. Let me see. I got it right here. Got a couple illnesses. Yeah, he's still listed with a hamstring. Levi Tololo also backup tight end for them. So, Marcus Golden with an illness, he'll end up playing Monday as long as he feels okay. As long as that illness isn't COVID-19. So he's about the most threatening guy on their defense too. So I'm just looking at it from an aspect of the Giants offense with Jason Garrett, who I don't know. What's Jason Garrett like as offensive coordinator? We only seen him as a terrible head coach of the Cowboys for a while. I know he was a play caller, and then he gave some of that to whatever that guy's name was. He was a former after-run type quarterback too, journeyman guy over in Dallas. But I just don't see a whole lot of, even if the Steelers offense comes out and stinks in the worst you've seen Duck Hodges do, can't run the ball, 3-and-out type aspect, I think the defense still does enough that the Steelers can win this game like 9-0 in a snoozer of a Monday Night Football game, and that is at the absolute floor of this thing. At the ceiling, I could see the Steelers offense getting 28, 30-ish, 32, somewhere in that range easily, and I really don't think, unless they turn the ball over and there's like some type of defensive scores by the Giants, I don't know how the Giants are going to keep pace, because the Steelers' offense is just too overwhelming for the lack of weapons that the Giants' offense has. Oh, and the offensive line. Of course, yeah. The offensive line is just absolutely horrible.
Yeah, look, you've got guys that I think are making the Steelers' defensive line and outside linebackers just light up. I don't want to pick on Nate Solder. But, I just think his lunch is going to get eaten. And, they got their offensive line has been a problem for years, and it's not great. So, is Daniel Jones going to be impactful, or is he going to have guys hanging on him most of the game? And he has a tendency to fumble the ball. I think he fumbled the ball, 18 times last year. So if he's going to, if he's loose with the ball, the Steelers are going to eat that right up. They know he has ball security issues. They've watched enough tape to see that. And there's no real way for him to have proven that he's addressed those issues in practices where he's not allowed to be touched, right?
Yeah.
So you got Bud Dupree coming around the corner or coming up the inside, hitting that arm. That ball could come free easily. I'm expecting to see some strip sacks. I'm expecting to see, a lot of turnovers potentially happen from the defense here and get them off to that kind of start where they can look at the numbers that they put up last year, which we all kind of think are hard to replicate, but give themselves a head start in doing that in the turnover area. I just don't see how this offense can move the ball consistently against the Steelers defense. Now, so it will not surprise me if, in fact, the Steelers pitch a shutout on this for that very reason. But let me just say this. You're absolutely right. The Steelers' offense is, in my view, loaded with potential weapons. And the question really is going to be how in sync they are yet. Are they there to the point where they can put it all together? Because this is really, this is preseason game one, really. It just happens to count this year. We'll see how well they play as a unit. If they're on their P's and Q's, if Ben, settles down and sinks in, and I think you could probably assume you can see a rocky first half and maybe a much less rocky second half from him. But if that happens, yeah, they could easily put up 30, 35 points. They could also, as you said, kick 3 field goals and win 9-0. I think they'll move the ball. I don't think that they won't. I think they're going to be able to run the ball. And because I think they're going to be able to run the ball, they should have the ability to take it easy. Now, that's provided that they don't get bit in the butt by Saquon Barkley. They have to contain him on the run side from the Giants, because if they don't, that's the kind of guy who can take it all the way without too much effort, and they got to be aware of him. It's going to be an interesting start out for guys like Devin Bush, because they're going to have to watch him coming out of the backfield. They're going to have to cover him, because it's not going to be surprising if they start to use him in a way that might be reminiscent of Le'Veon Bell and the way the Steelers used to use him, where they're doing a lot of drop-off passes to him in their running game and again, this is because their offensive line is not tremendous. Their running game becomes short passes. And if that's the case, they got to be ready for that. I got a lot of faith in this defense, so I believe that they'll be fine. But that is a risk. To me, that's the biggest risk. The way they lose this game is if they can't contain Saquon Barkley.
Well, you must have been reading the same notes I had. You have Saquon is definitely he is the weapon. By the way, Daniel Jones, 18 fumbles last year.
Yeah, I was right. Hey, I said that. That's what I said.
And 30-something sacks. I had it up and lost it already because, of course, there's something crazy going on with the Pro Football Reference website. 38 sacks. That's what it was. So 38 sacks, 18 fumbles. That's unless he's barehanding the ball or something snapped over his head like the duck. There's quite a bit going on there. So they should be able to create some havoc, wreak some havoc there. You just hope, on the other end of things, that Ben does a little bit better. But before I jump into, let me go back to Saquon Barkley here. Third in the NFL since 2018 with 3,469 scrimmage yards. That's 2,310 rushing, 1,159 receiving. So you split the difference there. You're talking about 550 a season or so receiving, on top of being a 1,000-yard rusher. So he is dual threat. He's one of 3 running backs since 1990, with Le'Veon Bell and Edgerrin James being the other 2, and James being in the Hall of Fame, with 2,000-plus rushing yards and 1,000-plus receiving yards in their first 2 seasons in the league. And he has 20 career games with 100-plus scrimmage yards. So there's quite a bit. There's quite a bit there to respect. So. Looking at this game overall, though, I'm heading over to our sponsor here at MyBookie, and the winning season returns at MyBookie. And what does the winning season mean to you? It means doubling your first deposit. It means insane props, epic bonuses, and the craziest cross-sport wagers. At MyBookie, winning season means watching live sports and betting live sports all season long. The NFL is back, and there are huge cash prizes. So let's talk about that. You want to get in on the action. You use the promo code SteelCity, and you can double your first deposit. New players get up to $1,000 in free play. And, of course, that's designed to get you to get in on more action, obviously. So the action this Monday, and I'm going to point out a few more over the weekend, too. You've got the Steelers at -6, which I think is an easy cover. Given the Giants 6, I think it's an easy cover. The over/under is 46, though. That's
whoa.
That's right where that's like a trick. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah. So we think about, can the Giants get to? You would have to get the Steelers to 30 and the Giants to 16. I don't know. Could be possible. I'm not going to say the other professionals can't score a touchdown at all whatsoever. The Steelers' defense is invincible, but I'm kind of headed that direction. At least that's my expectations here. So I don't know. I might be an under guy.
I'm leaning under.
Yeah.
I'm leaning under on that.
I'm leaning under as well. That's a pretty good. Whenever the bookies like MyBookie get involved on this, they come up with some stuff, don't they? And
yeah, they do.
Let me see. I think the highest one here was the Cowboys-Rams with a 51.5 over/under. I was going to look at the other AFC North teams because it was interesting. Chargers and Bengals. Chargers are getting 3 with an over-under of 42. Who knows what that's going to look like as well with those, new quarterbacks. Even though Tyrod Taylor's not a new quarterback, there's a change. There's changes there with both of those teams, pretty big changes. And then let me see, we got Cleveland Browns and Baltimore Ravens over-under of 48. So you're talking 2 points more. I almost feel better about the over in that game than I do there, but the Browns are getting 7.5. So they don't think that game will even be as close as the Monday night game with the Steelers and the Giants, and they think the Steelers-Giants could potentially be lower scoring, is the way I'm reading into that. So that's some interesting stuff here. If you want to check it out, go over to MyBookie. We have a link over on the website in multiple areas. And what you can do is enter the promo code SteelCity. Remember, the new players get up to $1,000 in free play. Bet with your best, or bet with the best this NFL season for your chance to win big. Your winning season begins today only at MyBookie. And I do have a kind of a short URL so you can figure this out and get the promo here going. It's your usual bit.ly at bit.ly/MB_Steel City. So that'll get you there. That'll get you in on this game or any games in the future. They've got some of the other ones already up. They got the prop bets and everything else. So go check that out. Now, where am I headed from this? Because, I hadn't actually looked. I don't like to look at these things because they change the odds all the time. Like if I look at it on Monday and then go look at it at Friday, you drive yourself crazy. It's like looking at the stock market or anything like that. The weather, it just drives you nuts. So I don't like looking at it until it's time to look at it. But man, I don't know. I don't know if we get the Giants or offense. Like the Steelers' offense is going to be much better this year. There should be no doubt that 18.1 points per game on offense is an aberration. That 18.9 from the defense is not. And the Giants' defense last year was 28-2 given up with a 21-3 per game. So I don't know. I don't know how that's going to end up looking, but I do think that there'll be some separation here. Steelers should have a 2-score lead going into this. So we talked a little bit about the Steelers defense against Giants offense. Let's flip the tables here and see what did the Giants have on defense versus the Steelers offense. It's just as difficult to look at their depth chart here and see that they have, obviously, I look up and down here and I'm trying to figure out. They gave, Mike Tomlin gave Dexter Lawrence a little bit of love here. You got Marcus Golden, who comes in, and he was their sack leader last year with 10. I don't know where else. I mean, Jabril Peppers? Are you kidding me? I just see Juju out there. I see the tight ends out there, Ebron being added, Vance McDonald. We're talking about James Conner potentially being a grown-ass man. Let's talk about this Giants defense. What are they going to stop? I don't know. I don't know that they've improved much at all. Okay, what? I don't know. Leonard Williams, you know what I mean? I just that was moved last year. I just don't get it. I look at this and I'm just kind of like, whoa. This just looks like a very underwhelming, understaffed team that is still in a rebuild mode.
Yeah, I can't really look. I can't argue with that. I don't think that they got particularly tremendously better or worse. I just don't think they're that good. Do they have some guys that could cause problems? Yeah, I mean, I guess, but I don't. Unless we really have a breakdown with either. The offensive line simply having, the worst possible game they can have, or Ben letting the jitters get to him, or we do, or our running backs, James Conner, or our receivers can't hold on to the daggone ball and they fumble a lot. I just don't see how they're going to consistently stop this offense. This is, I think, more about the Steelers offense beating themselves than the Giants defense beating them. if you're going to make mistakes, I think this defense could take advantage of them. If you play solid, clean ball, I don't think that this defense can compete with the Steelers' offense. That's just the way I'm looking at it. I don't see how you can look at what they have and come up with a different conclusion. That's the way it reads to me. This is the Steelers' game to lose. If they lose it, it's because they played badly.
Yeah, it's definitely it. I was just looking up some notes because I know they shifted some things around here, and it's just, it's crazy to look. They're a young team, and they've got a lot of young guys who are basically new to the team only by a year or so, or they're basically first and second year players. Now, I know on the offensive line, Kevin Zeitler has been around. I don't know how much he still has to offer. You have Nick Gates, who was working as a guard, and now he's going to be the center, apparently, according to their depth chart, the starting center. Andrew Thomas was, taken in the draft. So you got a rookie left tackle playing in his first game. Who knows? He's one of the top guys that you were looking at, but I don't know. I don't see on either side that they could cause very many problems. Their front seven on defense, their offensive line on offense. I just think you're gonna let's talk about some predictions for this game. I think that's the best avenue to go now. I see a totally different Steelers team that's all in to win, to go the whole distance. They watched, like everyone else on Thursday, what the Chiefs did. I think they're going to want to make a statement. So that's going to be interesting to see. You already got a divisional game crosstown, or whatever you want to call it, between Baltimore and Cleveland. So you're going to find out what those two teams are in the same game, and maybe even end up ahead there. They're going to have two teams 1-0, or actually everybody could go 1-0. Well, no, they can't because they're playing each other. But what I'm saying is one of those teams is going to fall behind already, right out the gate. So this is an important win for them. I think we've already mentioned the Steelers' defense enough. We've mentioned some turnovers. I think it wouldn't be out of the realm of plausibility that they get at least two, one way or another. I think that's very conservative. On the sack end, I'm looking for 5 or 6 sacks. I think they're going to feast. They've just got so many people. We forget, Stephon Tuitt missed how many games last year?
Oh, yeah.
You got him back in the mix, too. So I'm looking for a lot of sacks. Offensively, I would not be surprised if we get 100 scrimmage yards from James Conner. It sounds like he's going to be the bell cow. We'll see if there's any type of committee thing at all there. If Benny Snell comes in, 3 to 5 snaps. And that's not even 3 to 5 carries. That's 3 to 5 snaps, I think. Will they put McFarland in? Maybe. We'll get to see if Chase Claypool gets in. If Chase Claypool gets on the field, my prediction here, Brian, I don't even know how bold this is going to be. I think the first time he's on the field, Ben targets him. No doubt. No doubt. And it would not surprise me if they send him. They just send him downfield. There's no film on either of these two teams. This is going to be interesting to see. Steelers are going into the unknown here because there's literally nothing to know about, but the Giants are too because Ben wasn't there last year. What kind of things do you think Randy Fichtner likes to do? They talked about Matt Canada having some fingerprints on this offense. This is really blown up by some of the bloggers that are out there. Or they lifted the one quote. It's like Matt Canada is not the offensive coordinator. Everyone praised Fichtner 2 years ago. They didn't praise him last year, obviously. There were all kinds of problems. So I think the best thing we could do to maybe put a bow on the preview here is just, I know we sound overly optimistic, but how can't we? The Steelers are basically returning everybody on both sides of the ball for the most part. You lost what? Ramon Foster. I know DeCastro may not play in this game, but he's still there for the team for all intents and purposes going forward. You lost Hargrave, who was kind of a spot starter. You know what I mean? With the sub packages. Yeah. You've got everybody else there. They're there. They've played together. They should just be a way more cohesive team, even with the lack of the usual preparation, than what you'd be used to. This isn't last season where you lost Antonio Brown. I know they had lost Le'Veon Bell before that. You had a couple more different changes. You had Devin Bush as a rookie. They were, oh God's sake, they were playing Cam Kelly if you remember him from the Alliance American Football.
Oh, yeah.
There were a lot of different things that were going on there. Mark Barron. We're not talking about the same thing. This is a very consistent team. The other thing is that the Giants, well, on paper, I think they have 9-9 returning on each side of the ball. So they're returning pretty much everyone, too. Does that necessarily bode as well for them as it does the Steelers? I don't think so.
Now, you talked about predictions. I think James Conner will get over 100 yards rushing. I think he will have a 100-yard rushing game. And I agree with you. I actually agree with you. I think if Chase Claypool gets on the field, and I'm going to tell you that I think that the chances are very high that he does, and it's at a point in time when they're down, if not in the red zone, very near the red zone. And I agree with you on this. I think the first time he's on the field, Ben is looking for him. And, unless he is just absolutely smothered, I think Ben targets him. Absolutely agree. I think we're going to see some stuff out of Eric Ebron. I think we can see him, getting downfield. I think that they will try and use him in the ways that they used to use Heath Miller up the middle in the seam, and see if he can't split some linebackers and maybe, cause some havoc there. I think we will see all of those things. I agree with you about Benny Snell as well. I don't think Benny Snell gets on the field that much. And if he does, it's a bad sign in the sense of it's because something happened that we don't want to talk about. So, whether McFarland comes out and is a third down back or a change of pace a couple times, it's possible. It's also possible he never even, dress. It's also possible he's inactive. Any of that stuff is possible.
That's a good point, Brian. They should have two. Now, somebody was complaining about, we should have seen this coming with DeCastro because they kept extra guards or extra offensive linemen. No, they kept the extra offensive linemen to meet the threshold to add the extra 2 spots on game days from the practice squad. So 2 players from the practice squad will be suiting up. Whether they're active or not is a whole other situation for Monday, but they're going to be making the trip. And I don't know when they have to make that announcement or when they have to do that. I'm not even sure that I heard anything about the teams doing that yesterday, but Tomlin said he wasn't giving those 2 spots back. So sorry to interrupt you, buddy, but it popped in my brain. I had to put it there.
So I think Ben will have a solid game. I think he goes over 200 yards passing. I think he'll have a touchdown. I think he'll be clean. I don't think he'll I'm going to knock on wood. I don't think he's going to throw a pick. From the flip side, I think, on the defense, man, I just don't know. I want to be ultra aggressive and say they could have double digit sacks in this game. That's crazy. But I kind of think it's possible, just because of that line and the way that they line up. But I'll be a little more conservative and say 7. How about that? And we go from there. I do think there's a good chance that the Steelers could shut the Giants out and they don't score at all. And the grown ass man, I'm just going to say the original OG, he's going to get in there and get a sack. Maybe even recover a fumble.
Yeah, I think he's going to prove he's worth the money he just got, right? That's usually when these guys perform. So, we're up against it, Brian. I don't know how much more we could talk about. We need to see some stuff so we have stuff to talk about, to be completely honest. Yeah. Keep an eye on the injury reports. I know we're coming at you with this on Friday, so the schedule's off like a day because of the Monday night stuff, so we don't have anything further to see who's participating in the additional 2 practices and who's going to be ruled out or whatever, but we can only go by what we heard with Deontay Johnson and David DeCastro to this point. And just knock on wood, you don't have problems like the Broncos losing Cortland Sutton for some extended time and Von Miller for the season. I mean, that's just in practice alone. So anyways, thanks once again for joining me, my friend, and look forward to, we're going to have a Monday night recap, or at least early Tuesday morning. Depends on if we want to get some sleep or not, but it's not the late game at least.
Yeah, thankfully, since it starts at 7, maybe we'll be there after the game, and get it in while it's fresh.
Yeah, you know how it is. You get we're all geeked up, excited, or really frustrated and PO'd Either way, it doesn't mean the brain activity doesn't go away. It doesn't let you sleep. So thanks for joining me once again. And folks, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Steelers, Monday Night Football, 7:10 on ESPN on Monday. Yeah, duh. That should be pretty redundant. Anyways, my name is Joe. His name's Brian. And until next time, we encourage everyone to be safe, be good, and we'll catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.